Want to expand the reach of your content? Start a podcast. Feature industry experts on your show and leverage the influence and reach of your guests to grow your brand. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with George Nikanorov. He is the director at Sphere. George, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. So George, we're going to be talking about marketing as part of the bigger picture today. But before we dive into that, I'd love for you to explain to our listeners what you and your team at Sphere are all about.
So Sphere Technology Solutions is a cybersecurity firm that specializes in remediating risks associated with sensitive data. In a nutshell, what we do is we go in and we figure out what data is sensitive, what data is unstructured from that perspective. And then we will come up with a plan to remediate. And we also work with specific automation tools from that standpoint. We have our own proprietary product called Sphere Board, which provides information on key risk indicators that you can use in order to ensure that your cybersecurity environment is clean and secure. And this has great implications from a variety of aspects, whether you're complying with certain regulations such as the New York cybersecurity rules, the upcoming GDPR regulations coming out of Europe, or even answering from an audit perspective. If organizations are looking within their data and information, they need to make sure that that sensitive data and information is secure. And through a remediation, we ensure that that information is clean, secure, and ultimately compliant.
Got it. I love it, George. So in segueing into what the rest of our conversation is going to be about today, we're going to be talking about marketing as being a part of the bigger picture. And as we were talking about this offline, you mentioned kind of the first point to make here is that you've got to have uniformity in your messaging. Can you talk to us about that?
Right. So throughout my career, and I've been in the marketing field for a good 20 some odd years, one thing I've discovered is that marketing needs to be part of the bigger picture. A lot of times when we look at marketing communications, it's a very tactical function and initiative. But at the end of the day, you need to look at marketing from the larger standpoint. And a key aspect is that your message needs to be absolutely uniform across the board. Your organization, your people need to be able to talk about an organization to the people on the street, to the people on a trade show, to the people at a conference, even on the phone, and convey that uniform message on who an organization is, what an organization does, why the organization does it, and ultimately from there, talking about the results and success stories that we did. Now, in some cases, when you're talking about uniformity messaging, you can bring up a variety of different aspects, such as what's happening in the industry. You could talk about the latest, in the example of Sphere, you could talk about data breaches. You could talk about organizations that are looking to secure their aspects. But at the end of the day, the core functions need to be uniform when it comes to messaging. And from that standpoint, it comes from the top down. Marketing is part of the big picture in that it interprets the message and conveys it to the audience and through its channels and vehicles that are accessible to them in order to convey and ultimately close business opportunities.
I love it. And so you answered what my question was going to be, which is really how do you get that uniformity in your messaging, and your response being, that really it comes from the top down. And so if you don't have senior level leadership kind of on board with what that message is, it's going to be really tough to penetrate that within the entire organization. Is that right?
Absolutely. And, the key aspect is that you need to work with your executive team in order to ensure that that message is correct. It's one thing to make something sound sexy and appealing to a broader audience, but it's an entirely different thing to, ensure that there is in fact a buy-in, very specifically from a couple of areas, not only the executive management team, but from the people that are on the front lines every day, your sales and account management staff. In a lot of cases, marketing. There have been times where marketing works against the core fundamentals of what they're seeing out there in the industry. I'm not going to go into detail specifically as to why that's the case, but there have been many cases out there. The truth of the matter is that a good marketing professional will work with two factions. They'll work with the executive team to ensure that the message that they're conveying is clean and proper. But then they'll also, gauge and refine that message, and even in some cases completely revise the message with the people that are on the front lines, the sales teams, the technology teams, the people that are answering the phones. So that way you have that uniformity in messaging, and you target it just so much better, and use it as a catalyst to create opportunity and ultimately close business.
I love it. George, when we were talking offline, you mentioned that there were two functions of marketing, and both of these functions kind of tie back to this bigger idea that marketing is part of the bigger picture. Can you talk to us about what those two functions of marketing are?
So to me, you have the academic definition, but you have the practical functions that marketing has to go out there. So first, you have to so going back to the first point, you have to establish the right message that you're conveying out there with your sales teams, as well as your executive management and other personnel allied to those aspects. So establishing that message and developing that uniform message is absolutely key. But the second aspect is marketing also needs to be a catalyst at helping to drive business opportunity. And so we as marketing professionals talk about lead generation all the time. Sometimes we get flack for, getting hundreds of leads to a webinar, hundreds of leads into downloading a white paper. We also have the trade show aspect. But at the end of the day, a lot of times marketing ends at gaining the lead, but it really shouldn't be that way, because it's really more of a consistent message that you need to bring out. And we talk about vertical marketing that has been a model for a long time, but the new model is horizontal marketing. And so the idea with horizontal marketing is twofold. You're always going to have, and let me qualify that, you're always going to have leads that come in and get poured into the vertical marketing funnel. But when you're looking at horizontal marketing, you're looking at targeting specific aspects, and it could be anywhere from just a group of titles to a group of people within an organization, and hitting them up with the right content, the right messaging based on the data and information that you have, which then you will ultimately work with your stakeholders, with your sales, with your executive management to develop and execute. And from that standpoint, you run the possibility of closing more opportunities, bringing in more opportunities, and down the line, closing business.
That's great, George. This last piece that we're going to talk about, this idea that marketing is this ever evolving thing that is seemingly changing every day, but at the end of the day, the marketing fundamentals stay the same. Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So, where marketing continues to evolve, and in some cases, it evolves as fast as the technology field. What was back in the 90s and 2000s, we do direct mail campaigns. Now we do email campaigns, and there's even new innovations out there in marketing that could be extremely disruptive, that put together very customized content that targets people one step at a time. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals behind marketing communications stay the same. It's all about delivering and developing the right message, going back to the uniformity, and talking about the big picture when it comes to marketing and communications. A lot of marketers, they get overly involved in go-to-market strategies, developing campaigns, delivering short-term results, and that's perfectly fine. That element is absolutely needed when dealing with marketing communications, and you need to deliver results on a short-term basis. But on a long-term basis, a good marketing professional is going to think about how the strategy overall appears on a 1-year basis, on a 3-year basis, and on a 5-year basis. In order to understand that, marketing needs to be involved in the strategy development within business. They need to understand what executive management sees in terms of the strategy that they're developing from a business perspective within the 1 year, the 3 year, and the 5 year mark. So that way they can understand how to tailor the marketing strategy and the messaging to meet those goals. Now, granted, business strategies change, marketing strategies change. The channels we talk to change. What we talked, as I alluded to earlier, back in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, postal mail was king. Then it turned to email. Then we went to social media. And now we're seeing a lot more programmatic marketing come around in terms of automation. And we're even seeing, as I alluded to before, disruptive marketing, where a platform can take multiple pieces of content and put them together to create a very hyper-targeted message for the consumer. But at the end of the day, all of that pales in comparison. These are vehicles of delivery. What we need to do is we as marketers need to think about the big picture, where a marketing strategy should go 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, as it relates to an overall business strategy.
Yep.
And if you do that, then you evolve your messaging, you evolve your branding, and you're able to secure new opportunities in the marketing and communication spectrum.
No, I love it, George. This has been fantastic. If there's somebody listening to this and they want to connect with you further on any of the points that you've made today, or they want to learn more about Sphere, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I am accessible by linkedin.com/in/George N. I'm also on Twitter, and you can also search me out on Facebook. I have a professional Facebook page.
Love it. Awesome, George. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you'd like to connect with B2B executives from all over the world, make sure to join our private Facebook community. There are some incredible conversations happening inside this group. To join, visit b2bgrowthshow.com/FB.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.